Hello, welcome to Tuesday's tarot tutorial video. Today I would like to talk about the cards that represent the planets, with special focus on the Sun and the Moon cards in this particular video. This is going to be one of a three-part video series that I will record and upload in the following weeks. So to start off, the most obvious planetary cards are the Sun and the Moon cards that represent the celestial luminaries. Luminaries are, of course, the lights in the sky. Of course, we know that the moon is a rock body that does not emanate light of its own. It only reflects the light of the sun. So in the center of the sun card, we see these solar rays intensely beaming outward. In the moon card, we do also see some rays coming off of it, which is a curious thing because, like I just stated, it only reflects the light. It doesn't actually create any of its own. It kind of makes me feel that in this regard, those aren't actually the moon's rays, but the sun's rays as seen from behind the moon. So what time of the month do we see the moon travel in front of the sun? During a new moon, right? The new moon energy is generally a mild one, indicating the promise of a new start and initiations of new beginnings. But also, we see new moons as intensified when they are next to one of the lunar nodes, causing an eclipse. Based upon the crazy and volatile energy that this card traditionally represents, it would make sense that a hint of the sun's rays are what we are actually seeing behind the moon in this card. And this would make sense for it being a solar eclipse card, blocking out the light of the sun when everything goes dark in our lives, both literally and figuratively. This makes the most sense to me, because when the lights go out, so to speak, we tend to lose our direction and things become unclear and confusing. Shadows emerge and our fears get the best of us. In this card, we see a wolf to the right and a dog to the left howling at the moon. One represents a friend and one represents a foe. We may not be sure of which is which if we can't see. We also have what looks like an amphibious creature emerging from the water, and I have heard and read that it is actually a crab to represent Cancer as being the sign that the moon rules. This is lovely, as the moon really feels comfortable in its watery sign of Cancer. It functions well, and there is an ease of energy that the moon is able to express in Cancer. Although I've also read that it is commonly accepted and agreed upon for the moon card to represent Pisces. This is a possibility as a more pleasant aspect of the moon card found in modern day interpretations. However, I see this creature as being more like a scorpion to represent the sign of Scorpio. This is still significant, one, because it is also the last water sign for the moon to represent, and also because it's debilitated in the sign of Scorpio, which is the opposite sign of Taurus, where it is exalted. The debilitated moon represents our deepest fears and lack of control we feel we have in this reality. It can be an energy that is drowning in this tumultuous emotion. The traditional meaning of the moon card is not a light and fluffy one, and it was a bad omen when it appeared in a spread, indicating a great enemy or a cataclysmic natural event. Somehow the shape of the animal's body that emerges from the water appears to be a cross of the two, scorpion and the crab. So it's quite possible that we can see the dual and fluctuating aspects of the moon in this symbology. And this would certainly be affirmed by the dog, who is a friend, and the wolf, who is a foe, having that sort of dual nature. We also see this narrow pathway sort of winding and fading off into the background, which represents the unknown aspect of our subconscious mind. I'm not going to go further into the symbology of the external and outwardly expressive sun, other than talking about its actual rays and the light that it emits, because as I had just discussed the details of the sun in a recent tarot tutorial video, which was the Spring Season Aries Tarot Cards video. If you haven't seen it already, check it out. I go into more detail about the other symbology of this card. I do want to make a distinct point, though, that the sun and the moon are our cosmic parents. We have the father sun and the mother moon, which create and sustain life on Earth. The orbit of the moon creates the calendar for the month, and the orbit of the Earth around the sun creates the calendar for the year. It is interesting that we do see two towers depicted in the moon card. This final observation I want to make will be a nice segue into what I would like to talk about as the next video topic, which is going into the involvement of the tarot card as the tower and its connection to the moon. The other cards that we see these two towers show up are in the Death card. As we can see sort of faintly in the background, hopefully you can see it in the shot here, is these two towers with the sun setting between it. And the foreground of the High Priestess card, we see the two towers or pillars. The Hierophant card, we see the two pillars. And the Justice card, we see the two pillars. It's funny how they're all very stoic looking figures that are proportionate in size, and they're all sitting up tall and straight forward. And they all have this very stoic and stern even looking facial expression. And they're looking at the viewer square in the eyes with authority and an expression that says, I don't play around. They are all authoritative in their own right. They are literally a pillar of society or a pillar of the community. And as a side note, I wonder if these three figures that have such power on the throne are actually the three figures that are facing the Reaper in the Death card. Again, hopefully you can see it closely here. We do have this priest, possibly from the Hierophant card, a woman here, possibly from the High Priestess card, and we do see this, small boy or girl that could be seen from the Justice card here. Anyway, it's possible. The point I really wanted to emphasize was the two towers that are shown in the moon card as being these sort of central pillars in these central figures in all of these cards. This is really all I wanted to draw out of these cards to talk about, so I won't really be elaborating on any of these specifically in the next video, aside from the Tower and the Moon cards. Going back to the concept that in astrology, the sun and the moon are our cosmic parents, we have the masculine principle and the feminine principle being expressed in all things. In Western tropical astrology, the sun and the moon are the most pertinent planetary indicators for personality analysis in a chart. In Vedic astrology, or as it's called Jyotish, which means the science of light, the most significant planets in the chart are also the sun and the moon, as well as a significant emphasis on the lunar nodes, also known as Rahu and Ketu, which I will be talking about in part 2 of this video. All right, so I think this is about what I wanted to show you for this tutorial. I hope you found this information on the celestial parents useful and enjoyable. Thank you for watching, liking, and sharing my videos, and for subscribing to my channel.